Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy N.G.O.s here, back here with part four of, I suppose you could say, my dreams for Napoli and Napoli getting investment and that sort of thing. And in parts one, two, and three, I mainly covered like how I hope for Napoli to benefit through investments and using my alliterations and things like that. I said companies that begin with N, but just generally companies anyway. But for this one, I thought I would cover like specifically more the charitable causes I hope for Napoli to support, what sort of charities they could perhaps support. And as ever, I'd love to hear your suggestions or to read your suggestions if I take it literally. But yeah, read your suggestions. I suppose unless you make a response video where you talk about your suggestions, perhaps, and send it to me. But yeah, I'd love to read your suggestions, possibly hear your suggestions, and any charity, basically any charities you think that Napoli could support, and what you think could improve their brand value and their PR, whilst also at the same time hopefully helping charities, but also helping Napoli to win trophies, but also helping those charities which they could support, hopefully all being well. And I hope they'll be legitimate charities, genuine charities, basically that really do help people. Because me personally, when I give charity, I always want it to make sure, if I want to get a chance to give to charity, I always want to make sure it is a legitimate charity that does actually help the people it says it's going to help, um, and basically makes things better for those people. It makes the world a better place. Anyway, I hope people out there enjoy it. I do get nervous about making these videos, I know. So I'd love to have your positive quotes or sayings or motivational things that could keep me positive, hopefully, and uplifting, and hopefully some positive comments. But constructive criticism is always welcome. As ever, as I often say, you can say whatever you want, and as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so here goes. Number 31. I think it'd be cool if Napoli helped, um, especially women in Africa, or people in Africa generally, but maybe helped women around the world, especially from Africa and developing countries like parts of Asia, like She Leads Africa, like the Lionesses of Africa, and things like that, and equivalents in Asia. They could be like the Tigresses of Asia or things like that, which helps women to become empowered, especially in business, but also in other areas, politics, business, tech, and things like that, and also indigenous women from Australasia and the Americas. I suppose what I call the six, I suppose I could say. But yeah, maybe even help them to unite together. I know I mentioned the six before in previous videos, so so if you check those out, what I mentioned when I talk about the six, as I call them, um, hopefully that'll make some sense. I hope. Number 32 on that theme again, yeah, helping women and girls, and also children and young people, including girls, like they could help Black Girls Code and things like that, which hopefully will improve relations between Napoli and the black diaspora, perhaps even, and also Asian communities as well, helping them in different areas as well. Um, Number 33, I'd love to hear from Napoli fans, like what sort of charities you would love the club, what sort of charities you would love for the club to help. Number 34, I often say like former colonies, as well as developing countries. I suppose a lot of the time they are the same thing, but hopefully in the future, if clubs like Napoli, football clubs like Napoli, help them, then hopefully that will mean that they won't need help in the future. So I hope it won't just be continually having to help them. Well, maybe they could help them ongoing, but hopefully they'll get to a point where people in those developing countries won't even need the help, or certainly won't need it as much. And it actually, again, generally does empower them in the future, or generally and genuinely, if you like. Number 35, also specifically like Rare Gem School Kenya, a school I support in Kenya, which helps children with dyslexia mainly, as well as refugees and other often disadvantaged communities. Um, as I say, migrants, refugees, people with learning disabilities, and that sort of thing, and maybe can help them to roll out the school in more areas of Kenya, more parts of Kenya, and maybe even other parts of Africa where they can collaborate and help children with learning disabilities or neurodiverse children, whatever you want to call it, special needs, learning disabilities, neurodiverse, people with dyslexia, ADHD, for instance, and autism and dyspraxia and things like that, and helping generally disadvantaged children, generally whoever needs help to get to get schooling and education and training and that sort of thing. I think it'd be pretty cool if they support them in Kenya and across Africa. Number 36. Hopefully, with momentum, the more once they achieve success with some charities, hopefully they can do that with others. And I think I forgot to mention in point 35, they could also help with like things like Rare Gem to provide them with football kits, and in the future, hopefully, the gems as we call them, will be empowered so that they will be able to return the favor, like in the future, if they become business people or they do well in their chosen field, which I dream they will do in the future, and I hope it to be part of my legacy to help them. Hopefully, they'll be able to help to become fans of teams like Napoli. I'd love for them to support Italian football generally as a reward for me helping them, and Celtic as well. And I hope both Napoli and Celtic, and as well as other Italian teams, um, Napoli and other Italian teams as well as Celtic, if you like, will provide football kits and footballs and things like that, opportunities for the gems to play football as well as other people across Africa and Asia as well. Doing similar things like supporting the D.A.S, Dyslexia Association of Singapore, and schools like that as well, or organisations like that as well. Number 37. I'd love to hear people's recommendations about charities that Italian teams like Napoli, as well as Celtic, which are not Italian, as well as Celtic. On top of that, I hope that means help. I hope people send suggestions, I say, for those schools, for Napoli about charities they can support. 38, and hopefully, again with momentum, they can continue to freely support them as much as possible. Number 39. I hope they will support women in politics and business and areas like that in Asia and across what I call the six, just generally. And number 40, again, I suppose I'm running out of ideas, but I'd love to hear your suggestions. Like, it could be the Red Cross, it could be helping to tackle cancer or tackle illnesses and diseases and tackle poverty, or all sorts of things. Like, if you know any specific charity that helps homeless people, other disadvantaged people, disabled people, or whatever around the world, I would love to read them in the suggestions. And I'm out. Peace out.